Good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to be talking to my friends, enemies, family, and foes once again. Today, we're going to just jump straight into it. It's a topic that I think kickstarted this channel and is permeating in society through various means, and that's loneliness. A lot of people are becoming more and more lonely. Studies are showing people are having less social interaction, less friends, and people are just together less. With technology and the ability to constantly distract yourself, it becomes not as necessary to go out and interact with others socially. But deep down, our hearts and our minds yearn for social interaction. They yearn for connection. They yearn for community and creativity and spontaneity. And we're not getting that. And people aren't interacting with each other the way that they used to. And so we are going to be looking at this article about loneliness and its damages to one's body and health. So, hope you guys can all see me. We are going to be reading this article called Loneliness Poses Risks as Deadly as Smoking. Surgeon General says a surgeon general. This article is by Amanda Seitz, published on May 2nd, 2023 by the AP. So this is a picture of the Surgeon General, Vivek Murthy, testifying on Capitol Hill in regards to youth mental health care, saying widespread loneliness is posing health risks as deadly as smoking a dozen cigarettes daily, costing the health industry billions of dollars annually, the U.S. Surgeon General said Tuesday in declaring the latest public health epidemic. About half of U.S. adults say they've experienced loneliness, Murthy said in a new 81-page report from his office. That's him. Let's get out of here. So let's go. Widespread loneliness in the U.S. poses health risks as deadly as smoking up to 15 cigarettes daily, costing the health industry billions of dollars annually, the U.S. Surgeon General said Tuesday in declaring the latest public health epidemic. About half of U.S. adults say they've experienced loneliness, Murthy said in an 81-page report. So, quote, we now know that loneliness is a common feeling that many people experience. It's like hunger or thirst. It's a feeling the body sends us when something we need for survival is missing, Murthy told the AP in an interview. Millions of people in America are struggling in the shadows, and that's not right. That's why I issued this advisory to pull back the curtain on a struggle that too many people are experiencing. The declaration is intended to raise awareness around loneliness, but won't unlock federal funding or programming devoted to combating the issue. Research shows that Americans who have become less engaged with worship houses, community organizations, and even their own family members in recent decades have steadily reported an increase in feelings of loneliness. The number of single households has also doubled over the last 60 years. Touch on that real quick. Chris Hedges, a author who has completely altered the way I view the world, talks about how capitalism is replacing Christianity. When you live in a society where people are poor and they need to, work to survive, they need to work to enjoy the fruits of their labor, they need to work to make ends meet. When you're struggling so hard economically that you don't have time to go to worship houses, you see this sort of transition where you start off with Christianity, and Christianity, which was a massive part of American culture, is sort of being overtaken by capitalism, as the people that used to go to worship houses are now spending more time engaging in recreation with the time they do have free, or they're just spending it working because they under this economy are having to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Back to the article. But the crisis deeply worsened when COVID-19 spread, prompting schools and workplaces to shut their doors, and sending millions of Americans to isolate at home, away from relatives or friends. People culled their friend groups during the coronavirus pandemic and reduced time spent with those friends. The Surgeon General's report finds Americans spent about 20 minutes a day in person with friends in 2020, down from 60 minutes daily nearly 2 decades later. 20 minutes a day in 2020, 2 decades earlier was 60 minutes a day with your friends. Wow. I'm sure now it can be even less. The loneliness epidemic is hitting young people, ages 15 to 24, especially hard. The age group reported a 70% drop in time spent with friends during the same period. Loneliness increases the risk of premature death by nearly 30%, with the report revealing that those with poor social relationships also had a greater risk of stroke and heart disease. Isolation also elevates a person's likelihood for experiencing depression, anxiety, and dementia, according to the research. Murthy did not provide any data that illustrates how many people die directly from loneliness or isolation. The Surgeon General is calling on workplaces, schools, technology companies, community organizations, parents, and other people to make changes that will boost the country's connectedness. He advises people to join community groups and put down their phones when they're catching up with friends. Employers to think carefully about their remote work policies, and health systems to provide training for doctors to recognize the health risks of loneliness. Let's talk about some of the solutions that Murthy brings forth here. He raises some awareness about putting down phones when you're catching up with friends. I think in regards to the loneliness issue, as I previously mentioned, technology, specifically the cell phone, has completely changed the way we interact as a species. We don't talk to each other the way we used to, and the phone has sort of replaced the desire to talk to people in person, because you can just talk to people on text. You can take time. You can take as much time as you need to respond to someone. You can think about what you want to say. You don't have to actually say it. But that's not how human societies have lived for the past thousands of years. We were together. We engaged with each other. To supplement that, it's not going to work. And we're trying to supplement that social interaction with pleasure and self-stimulation and self-socialization. And it's not going to fill the gap that needs to be filled. And it's not just hanging out with people that's going to make one feel better. It's understanding that one is connected to the divine. You know, it's understanding that you have a part in this just as much as the other person. Technology has rapidly exacerbated the loneliness problem, with one study cited in the report finding that people who use social media for 2 hours or more daily were more than twice as likely to report feeling socially isolated than those who were on such apps for less than 30 minutes a day. Murthy said social media is driving the increase in loneliness in particular. His report suggests that tech companies roll out protections for children, especially around their social media behavior. There's really no substitute for in-person interaction. As we shifted to use technology more and more for communication, we lost out on a lot of that in-person interaction. How do we design technology that strengthens our relationships as opposed to weaken them? And it says here, the story has been updated to show that the Surgeon General said loneliness poses health risks as deadly as smoking up to 15 cigarettes daily, not 12. I remember seeing once that technology was supposed to help us do more things in less time. But now we just do more things in more time. We use technology to do even more than using it to do even less, because technology gives us the ability to do more. Social interaction is imperative to surviving. Social interaction is imperative for happiness as a species. It's imperative for happiness personally. You need to be immersed in people in some way, shape, or form. And you can't substitute it, as Murthy says. So, Notice yourself, notice how much time you're spending on these apps, and if you're happy. Are you lonely? Do you have friends? Are you close with your friends? Those are questions that you can ask yourself, and they don't need to be bad if you get a no. It's realizing that you might say no, and a lot of people are also saying no to a lot of those questions. And if it is a no, ask yourself, what can you do to turn that into a yes? And would you be happier if you did so? So yeah, big story here. Loneliness is very bad. Social interaction is very necessary. And let's continue to talk about mental illness and the drastic effects it has on people. And let's help each other out and find some solidarity. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.